HowExpert! Top 10 bass fishing tips and tricks.
Number 1. Be prepared. The old Boy Scout saying, "Be prepared," is a phrase we can apply to everyday life, and going out on the water is no different. Too many times I have seen gear break, fish lost, people not paying attention, and anglers get upset or hurt when on the water. Modern boating laws have already set regulations on certain things that must be present in the boat at all times, with common ones being things like flares and life jackets. While some of these may be a little overkill to some, it is not worth having a bad injury or emergency when enjoying a day of fishing. Number 2. Use the proper gear. One thing some people may not realize is using the proper gear could be the determining factor between a caught fish or a lost fish, or even breaking a rod in some cases. Bass fishermen are notorious for their specific tastes in gear and what they like to use for certain lures, conditions, fish, in every condition you could imagine. However, there is a method behind the madness. Now, of course, some things are a little overkill for your standard weekend angler who is not worried about winning tournaments, such as getting your gear ratios perfect, but using a Barbie rod with a 1-ounce jig is not going to end up a viable option in the end. Number 3. Remember KISS. The acronym KISS, not the band, stands for Keep It Simple, Stupid. Another phrase that is often overlooked in fishing, and bass fishing in particular. Look in any tackle box and observe the multitude of different baits and colors, and then ask what they throw regularly. This is typically only a few things, and you want to know why? It's because they work. While at certain times it is useful to have a certain color or different style of bait, if you keep some soft plastic baits and a couple of lures such as spinners and crankbaits readily available, you should be able to catch fish in 90% of conditions. Number 4. Courtesy is key. When on the water, you will inevitably run into a boat that is a way off from you. Then you catch one fish and they are on top of you. This is not an experience that is loved by anglers, so it is your job to remember to be courteous to those fishing around you. Casting towards someone's spot is disrespectful to the space the other guy has, so a good rule of thumb is to stay a good distance off of any other boat, unless of course there is an emergency. Pro tip: if you are on another person's boat, offer to pay for the gas and help clean the boat. This is something that a lot of people appreciate, even if they do not want your money or need the help. It gives you a chance in the future to possibly fish on their boat again. Number 5. Organize your gear. An organized tackle box is a successful one. It may be commonplace for some and not so much for others, but keeping yourself and your gear tidy is one way to minimize struggle and stress while fishing. Keeping different lures in separate areas, putting hooks in one place, weights in another, the list goes on and on. A good practice is to reorganize after you get home or as soon as you can. This assures you keep track of your gear and have it in neat order for the next fishing trip. Number 6. Protect yourself from the sun. The sun will burn and affect you drastically on the water as compared to land. With water, the sunlight reflects off the surface, right into places on your body that normally do not get burnt, such as under your chin. But it also beats down on typical places, such as your neck and arms. Using sunscreen and wearing protective clothing such as sun shirts, face buffs, sunglasses, and sunscreen will all help to minimize the risk of being miserable for the next day. Also, do not forget to hydrate. When constantly casting and searching for fish, it is sometimes a secondary thought to drink some water. Drinking water regularly on a hot day is always good, but on the boat, it is necessary. Number 7. Cover and shade. So, you want to catch a fish, but don't know where to look? Cover and shade will be your best friend on a hot day. Fish, like humans, prefer shade when it is hot out,
and will normally be either in the deeper, cooler water or in the shade created by trees. These same trees can also act as cover for fish to hide in, as well as grass, weeds, sticks, sunken trees, rocks, pilings, etc. Throwing around these different areas will increase the likelihood of catching bass by a significant amount, as it is rare to find bass in open water. Number 8. Practice when you can. Just like any sport or activity, practice makes perfect. Practicing casting techniques and spotting where fish may hide is a skill that takes time to learn and is always in your best interest if you want to catch that big bass. Taking a day off and taking the boat out or fishing from the bank can help you progress to more experienced levels of fishing. Even going out in the yard and casting to a cup or target can make all the difference when you are on the water. Number 9. Don't break the bank. Buying a boat, paying for gas, buying lures, rods, reels, line, and other items can drain you of money very fast. Another feature of the bass fishing world that many people see is the crazy amounts of money that people spend on bass fishing. The reality is that you don't need the best lures and the best rods. While these can make a difference, plenty of fish are caught on gear some say is junk or something a little dusty. If you want to catch a fish, a $200 rod is not a necessary purchase. Number 10. Have fun. Last, but certainly not least, enjoy yourself. Bass fishing is not a topic to get stressed over. A day on the lake, catching fish or not, is time away from work or school that a lot of people take for granted. The sense of brotherhood is found among every angler I have ever met in some form or another. Going out with Grandpa may seem boring sometimes if he prefers to sit and stare at a bobber, but catching a fish is second to spending time with friends and family. Don't take it too seriously if something goes wrong. Laugh, learn, and move on. It will hopefully lead to a 10-pounder. HowExpert publishes how-to guides on all topics from A to Z by everyday experts. Visit howexpert.com to learn more.